I wanted to share some things I learned during this time of being completely porn sober, and hopefully help some of you guys that might be struggling with it. I remember the day that I made the decision to cut porn out of my life completely. It was a hard one, pun intended, but at the time of cutting it out, I wasn't really aware of the impact that it was going to have on my life. I reached a point where my brain was so sexualized that it became worn out. And so I realized that if I continued down this path, I would risk losing the image that I had built of myself. Like many of you, my end goal was to one day start a family. And I realized as well that my porn habit was showing me just how far I was from my goal. And it showed me that I was risking the possibility of ever even achieving it because of my inability to control my urges. A lot of married men still watch porn. I see this at work, I see this with friendship groups, but personally, that's not who I wanted to be. And at that moment, I made the decision to cut porn out of my life forever. I know that a lot of you share these values too, or maybe you don't, but either way, you want to see some change in your life because you know deep down that this habit is not serving you or even bringing you any real satisfaction. Otherwise, you wouldn't have clicked on this video in the first place. Now, you might argue with me on this and say that this message isn't for you. But to be honest, I was in your shoes once, and I thought that I had everything under control because everyone else is doing it, first of all, and second of all, it's unconscious. So yeah, you can choose to continue indulging in it, but it will silently keep eating away at you, like it did to me. Now think about it. If someone asked you to come over and watch them have sex with their husband, and by someone, I'm not going to go too much into the details there, but would you watch that? Of course you wouldn't. It's weird. You know that that's weird. But then you'll happily do it behind a screen with a bottle of lotion and some tissues. Slowly, this addiction starts to take an effect on your mental health. That's what it did to me. In the beginning, you might think that you're not affected by it, but the more you do it, you'll begin to realize that you're not immune. Pressing this instant gratification button every time you're bored or you get horny because something triggered you, or you're on your phone at night and you can't sleep, well, this stuff will catch up to you whether you like it or not. And we're supposed to have balance in life, yin and yang, but the simple things just seem incredibly boring now. You no longer want to go out for a walk, you no longer want to go to the gym, you no longer want to get good at something, you no longer want to chase your goals and your dreams and everything that you want to work towards, because these things take way too much time, and now everything is just diluted. But you want to feel good now. You don't want to wait for something. You want to press that instant gratification button, but by constantly getting gratification, you're burning your dopamine receptors so much that when something actually pleasurable just comes into your life, you don't even get to enjoy it. This starts to dilute your real life experiences, and when you start dating that person that you actually want to marry or have kids with and have that settling down period, you don't get the amount of pleasure that you would normally get. It's like having squash where 90% of it is, or 97% of it is water, because you feel like your experience that you've already experienced it. You've already experienced it. The taste is literally just watered down. It's that now, just trust me, the woman will come, okay? It's because you feel like she won't. You feel like, well, it's a limited mindset that you have, but you need to feel that full spectrum. You need to have that full spectrum experience with that woman that you really want. And you know what? You know what the worst part of it is? It's all a scam. This rip-off depletes your energy. It stops you from chasing after the things that actually matter in your life. The issue is that it's so easy. And if you aren't mindful, you would rather get that instant gratification, satisfying your manhood, reclined in your chair, satisfying your belly with Cheeto dust all up in your belly button. You just sit there and you scroll and you scroll and you go on to the next page and you keep scrolling. I got to find the perfect video. I got to find the perfect moment. I got to find the perfect girl, perfect body, perfect hair. You know, it gets worse and worse. Get your shit together, man. Don't regress. Don't become like all the other man children. Get focused on your goals and develop yourself as a man. We need to start taking more accountability. I chose to quit. I know myself. I know what I'm capable of. I know who I am, and this is not me. You have so much potential, but you need to give yourself a chance to allow yourself to change, because the hardest part is deciding to quit. You've got to decide not to be addicted. Decide to quit porn. Decide. But instead we go, man, I just can't. I'm so deep in. It's too hard. I can't stop now. You're afraid. You're afraid of the unknown. You can't remember what life was like before porn. Be honest with yourself for a moment. You just have a limited mindset. You believe that if you don't get the gratification through porn, that you won't be able to get it through real relationships. So you think that you have no choice. But the truth is, when one door closes, another one opens. So many decisions are made without us even thinking. It goes back to the accountability thing. We need to begin thinking about the consequences of our actions and be more conscious and aware of our choices and decisions. You see, when your body becomes tired, what happens? It gets sick. Well, the mind is the same. This might be hard to hear, but your mind is sick. It doesn't allow you to make a connection with a woman because now you subconsciously relate women with sex. A woman might approach you to ask you a simple question, and instantly you get all of this brain fog. And before being able to even respond, you're forced to deal with that and turn that off before you're even able to just have a normal interaction. Like, this is a human being. I know I get so passionate about this stuff, but this is real interactions, real relationships that you are just being robbed of. They're being robbed from you without you even noticing. You don't even notice it. But that's one of the reasons why I had to uninstall social media. It's disgusting how saturated the world has become in sexual content now. And it's like social media has become the gateway for porn. It's everywhere. And it's hard to get distracted when there are no distractions. So I had to cut it. Now, I know that deleting social media might be a bit too extreme for most people. But first of all, I am pretty extreme. But second of all, you can start by deleting and unfollowing those accounts that maybe you followed when you were younger and dumber. I'll be honest, okay? Even Netflix, you might find it innocent, but the amount of adult scenes in movies nowadays will subconsciously trigger you. And sometimes it's really sneaky about it. It's giving you a taste of porn that will bring up feelings that will put you in a position where you have no choice but to succumb to them or resist. So yeah, Your environment and what you're surrounded by plays a huge role in your chances of beating this addiction. And it is an addiction. Do you remember how you would react when you were a child and you didn't like something? You would be like, I don't like that. I'm not eating that. Well, that's how you need to be towards porn or anything that might trigger you. You see something, swipe away. Don't like it. Don't feed the algorithm. You need to start becoming disgusted by it. I would even go as far to say that you need to be disgusted by yourself doing that. Self-gratification, every time. For me, in order to deal with this, it meant that I had to put myself out there more. I had to change my environment. I had to work on my habits. I had to start socializing more, focusing on my self-improvement and even picking up old healthy habits that kept me fulfilled. Go outside. That's a start. I've met some incredible people along the way, and I believe that doing this has helped me transition into the proper kind of man. A man who could look a woman in the eyes and hold a conversation with complete control of his behavior. If I want to indulge in something, I can. But I have control over myself, and I know and I can choose whether or not I want to indulge in something. You see, the biggest reward here is that you will finally feel in control of yourself. And no matter how many triggers you're exposed to, you trust that you won't budge. And that, my friend, will not only save your relationships, but it will also save the relationship you have with yourself. And that's important. But look, if you're addicted to porn, you need to realize that you are addicted, that your addiction is real, and it is a problem. Don't deny it, and don't get caught in the trap that it's not that bad. But tell yourself that you are going to quit, and it will happen. Be intentional. Don't talk about how hard it is. Just quit. Resist it. But you aren't alone in this, and there is a way out. No longer be ashamed of who you are. Forgive yourself and start today. I believe in you. You got this.